Welcome, folks. It is now 3 o'clock, and we are ready for our demo day. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for coming through. We are getting the vote out. The purpose of this hackathon was to build technology that helps register, educate, and mobilize youth to vote. Today, we are going to be going through our demo day. We have, first and foremost, I want to thank our partners for this hackathon. We have LA 2050, Google for Startups, Genera, Viper, Impact, Venn Council, AILA, AYA Instruments, Dogtown Fundraising, and Road to Artem. And we have a great collaboration here among Los Angeles County organizations and organizations nationwide with the goal of enabling youth to vote. And so how can we mobilize youth to the polls? The guiding question, how can we create inventions that register, educate, and mobilize folks to vote? So the judges here today, I'm going to introduce them based on the list here. Not everybody is with us today. We have several tiers of judging. So the folks that are here today, I'm just going to go down the list of all the judges. So when it is when you ask a question, please feel free to introduce yourselves. So we have Jeff Harris, the former CEO of the Junior Statesman Foundation. We have Steve Barr, the co-founder of Rock the Vote. We have Miles Fishman, iOS Solutions Architect from Lululemon. Brandon Barney, Senior Business and Legal Analyst from Venn Council. Anshul Jain, CTO of ThinkSys. Hallie Lomax, Senior Software Engineer from Cardless. Tatiana El-Khoury, Executive Director of Road to Artem Foundation. Celeste Derv, CEO of Viper. Roy Dakina, CEO of Genera Venture Studio. Andrei Liskov, former data scientist at Apple. Eva Zhang, President at Impact. Patricia Spencer, Board Chair at HackerFund. Emmy Weiner, AI Startup Storyteller at Google. Eitan Anucci, Owner at AYA Instruments. Zane Witherspoon, CEO at Superset. Todd Terrazas, Executive Director at AILA. George Francisco, Arts, Entertainment, and Sports Co-Chair at BizFed. And then Carla Reyes, Founder and Studio Director at Anima Interactive. Thank you to all the judges who have spent time already and who will continue to spend time over the next couple of days to ensure that we crown our grand champion and have our track champion. So thank you, everybody. And so now let's get a little bit of housekeeping. First and foremost, before we get to the housekeeping, sorry, let me back up for a second. We want to congratulate the top teams of this demo day. So we were supposed to have a top 5. We have six teams that have made it actually based on the math to the top 5. And so in no particular order, we will have the teams right now visible, but we have the outline for the teams that are going to be presenting in order. They've already received it. So the judges, you have your information handy and you know how to score. Once you get into the judging criteria, you'll see exactly what to do. Let me admit one of our judges, Roy. Greetings, Roy. And so now some housekeeping.
Hey.
Excellent, excellent. So if you're on mobile, please mute yourselves. Excellent. Okay, so these are our projects that I made it to the top of the demo day. And so now the general housekeeping that we're going to have. 5 minutes of presentation. You do not have to use all 5 minutes. 3 minutes for Q&A. I will be your timekeeper. I will be messaging into the chat, when you have 1 minute left, just so that you know. And Godspeed. We're very excited. We now have who is up first. I believe we have Enroll that is up first. Let me just double check our spreadsheet over here. Yep, Enroll is up first. You're going to have the floor. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to start the timer, and then feel free to get started. So as soon as I stop sharing and set up the timer here, I'm going to go off screen, and then Enroll. You will be able to share the screen.
Okay, I think you can see my screen. Yep.
Give it a second.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ed Ehrenberg, and I built Enroll. So about when this hackathon started, I was, very interested in the whole voting process at the time. And so I went online just to kind of do some research and was looking at the ways that people can get online to register to vote today. I'm a fairly savvy tech person. I've been doing iOS development for, 16 years or so now. And I did find the forum somewhat difficult to navigate. There was a lot of data on there, even though only some of it seemed to be required. The day before, I had been to go give a blood test for my doctor. And to go there and register, I took my driver's license, put it under a scanner, and it read all the data that was necessary to register for the test, and I didn't have to do anything else. And I thought there must be a way to combine that feature and the voter registration process. So I start to work, did all the research, and I built Enroll. So it is a mobile app that lets you basically complete the registration process completely on your phone. It's built in Swift UI and has no data storage, no backend. It's completely private. There's no information that needs to get stored. So this actual app could be used by one person to register as many people as necessary in any environments, since there's no login or registration involved. The key is I'm using your driver's license as a means to securely identify you and pull all the information that's necessary. It's actually on your back of your card on the barcode to do almost the entire enrollment process. So the way I do that is basically there's a little info here to tell you what to do. Scan the card and answer the questions. So let's go through the process. Now, what I do first is I'll read the information off the card and make a determination. Are you of age to begin with? So are you old enough to register to vote? If not, I'm going to present you with a different interface based on your age and some information about what you can do from there. If you are, it then uses a backend service to validate your voter registration status. You could be one of a couple different statuses. For example, you could be registered to vote already, in which case it might present a different set of information to you. And if you're not, then it can take you into the registration form and fill that information out for you. So since I only have my one driver's license here with me, what I did was I set up the demo to go through the three potential results that one can get based on scanning the card. So I hit the scan card, scan my license, and first step is I'm underage. All right, so it's made a determination that I am not 18, and if I am, I can go visit the voter registration site. It's got all kinds of information about voting itself. I can pre-qualify to vote. So basically, if I'm in California, which I am, I'm in Los Angeles, you can pre-register so that you can get notified when you've turned legal age how to go and vote and register and complete your registration. Let's scan it a second time. And in this case, it's going to use the backend service to validate my registration status. It's going to go and pass the information that's collected, query the service, and when the response comes back, it processes that, and you'll see I've already registered to vote. And some of the information that's available is information about the next election, which we've got a few years until, and I have a link if you want to read more about that particular election, and just prepare yourself for it, where to vote, how to vote, all that kind of stuff is there. But I'm ready to register. I'm already registered, so I'm good to go. And the last case is if I scan again. In this case, I'm not registered. So we went through the same process. So since I already got the data, I just show here that I'm not registered to vote. And it gives you a few links to try to help encourage you to register, information about what voting is about, why you should do it, why you should care about voting, other reasons to register, and so forth. So once I'm ready to vote, to register, I can just tap the register vote. Now, I've already collected most information you need from your IDs, so there's only a few little bits of information I still need to answer and just verify that yes, I'm a U.S. citizen, my county, which I could get from the city that I'm in, but I ask it anyways. This is optional information. These three check marks are all optional. I don't necessarily need to answer them, but if I have it available, I can put them in. I'm just going to put in a fake Social Security. Choosing a party preference. You can choose to or not to. I can choose a party. Doesn't really matter which one at this point.
That's time.
Okay. And if I finish,
Go ahead. Finish your sentence.
and I register, it'll bring up the form. all pre-filled in with everything that I need to register to vote. And I just go through the forms, confirm everything, that it's all correct. I can add more information if I need. And at the end, it will ask me for that last bit of attestation that I can't fill in myself. You have to declare, yes, I am. And I'm not going to go any further because I don't want to perjure myself because I'm already registered to vote. But that is, that's the process, that's the register, and that's how enroll works.
Excellent. Excellent. Judges, 3 minutes for questions. Go for it. Feel free to raise your hand. Brandon, you're first. Then Patty.
And have you seen any user interface like this? This seems like a really great user interface to allow.
I think you cut out there at the end, but as far as the user interface, I've been a developer for a long time, so I kind of created this one. I tried to go with a red, white, and blue theme for all the design elements, and I will note that this app is available in English and Spanish right now, and I could translate into other languages as necessary.
Go for it, Patty.
Can't hear you.
You're on mute.
You're muted.
Patty.
Sorry, this may be a crazy question, but are there any restrictions on using that for private use since it is a DMV sourced code?
No, I was very pleased. Like I said, my blood test facility used it. I've seen other places that just scan the back of your code to get all your info. The DMV used it when I was there. So no, I think just public information, and the decoding process is relatively straightforward. It's a standard QR code, PDF-41541 something code.
Okay, then I just have a quick follow-up, and that would be if someone had more questions about that or wasn't sure that their data wasn't going to be stored by the person that's helping them with this information, what would you say to them? How would you verify that it's safe and private?
Well, beyond the attestations, I know when you put a app in the App Store, you go through a privacy process to verify the information. So Apple's verifying that what you say is true, that I'm storing no information, that none of it is recorded anywhere, and the information is completely discarded once used. So there would be that assurance from the App Store as well.
Thank you.
We have time for one more question. All right, no more questions. Excellent. Okay. Next up, round of applause for with emojis for Team Enroll. Okay.
Okay. Let me stop my share.
Was that a question? Oh, is that a?
No, sorry.
Okay, no problem. Next up, we have, who do we have over here? Next up, we have Poly Proof. I'm going to set the timer. As soon as I say go, feel free to share your screen. I'll give you some time.
Yeah, give me a second. I'll see if I can share my screen.
No problem.
Yeah. Okay.
Rock and roll. Give it a second.
Are the slides visible?
Yep, we are visible. I'm going to give you in 3, 2, 1. Rock and roll.
All right. Hey, everyone. We're Polyproof, and our goal is to make civics fun. I'm Ashish.
And I'm Anand Kumar. So let's start with why Polyproof. Let's go over the problem and how our solution is a solution. So first, we're going for track 2, voter education tools. So we focus on the areas of fact check and misinformation and civic education tools. So first, civic education. Why is this such a problem? Well, as for studies, only 11% of individuals between the ages of 18 to 29 can distinguish between real and fake news. And 70% of Americans fail a basic civic literacy quiz on topics including branches of government, Supreme Court justices. This is a very big problem in today's world of government. People need to know what they're voting on, and we're attempting to solve that with our Polyproof app. So here's another more telling statistic on voter misinformation. If you ever heard of the platform Parler, it used to talk about a lot of posts related to public policy during the election cycle. So we have a graph from a report on the year 2020 on how much misinformation there was spread during the election cycle. So as you can see, during January, there's a lot less misinformation, well, compared to at the end of the year, September-ish, where the blue represents most of the false. And you can see not only has there been a lot more posts during that time, but more false posts than ever before. And so, next. So we built Polyproof, and this is our solution to that problem.
So now to talk about our solution and how we built it out. So first, our key features. We have a variety of real-time quizzes. So these are multiplayer quizzes with fast-paced live quiz matches. You're matched against real players in real time. We also have an ethos meter, which kind of ties in to the entire misinformation aspect of our solution. So the ethos meter is algorithmically generated per user based on how they perform against other users, how they perform against quizzes. If the user is able to get a lot of quiz questions right, but perform well on tough quizzes, this meter goes up. We also implemented a lot of gamified learning to kind of take the process of learning about civics and turn it into a competitive and exciting game for our users. Our tech stack overall, we used for our front end, we basically built out an app. So we did that with React Native. A lot of the logic was done in TypeScript, and we use Expo to test it out on our phones. For our backend, we use Node.js, we use Express for a lot of the standard communication, and then TypeScript again for just to build on JavaScript. For our database, we use MySQL, and for our real-time features, we had to use WebSockets and an HTTP server integrated in Node.js. So now for a quick live demo. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing, but I'm going to go ahead and share from my phone if I can. Wait a second.
You're good.
All right. Let me know if you guys can see the...
Yep.
Okay, nice. Okay. All right. So here's the app. We built it out in Expo. So, okay. But basically, we have a basic sign-in page. Previously, I already created my user. There's a sign-up page for that. So go and sign in. Users logged in successfully. And we have a couple available quizzes here. If we click up here and see more, we actually see a lot more quizzes. So these are on a lot of different topics. And for this demo, I'm going to go ahead and show the live quizzes and the matchmaking feature. So I'm going to click on live quizzes here. I'm going to select the topic, US history, and then click on start matchmaking. So Anand, if Anand joins in on this, then basically the matchmaking will set us both up in a game. You can go ahead and select. So I've done this quiz a bit before, so hopefully I get enough of the answers right, but of course they can be a bit tough. So it's Thomas Jefferson. All right, yeah, so I've done the quiz and I've become educated. So we can see my score, my opponent's score, and then based off of that, you go to my profile, you can see this ELO score. This ELO score goes up or down. Since I won, it goes up. For Anand, unfortunately, you can try again next time, but his ELO score went down for this. And that way each user is ranked. And one more thing is we kind of want to integrate this with other platforms. So users can share their ELO score. If we have a web page that connects to the ELO score, which we are planning on setting up in the future, we can have each user correspond to one ELO score, and it gives a form of verification that users can post that they know what they're talking about, that they're able to answer quizzes. It's pretty verifiable because in order to increase your score, you have to do well against other players. And even the questions automatically update based on their difficulty. So it provides a pretty solid verification on your knowledge on different civic and ethics topics. All right, thank you. Are there any questions?
Yep, judges, go for it. 3 minutes questions. Miles, you're first. Go for it.
Hey, what's up, guys? So I guess I have 2 points of feedback. One is the positive feedback here is that stuff like LinkedIn and many social media platforms can utilize these types of tests in regards to their users randomly experiencing it through their feed. Is the purpose of your app a gamified way to gauge your political aptitude? Is that the why behind this application?
Yes. So there's two purposes behind the app, and one is to have a quantifiable way to verify you know what you're talking about when it applies to spreading the information to other people. Specifically, during this last election cycle, I personally went through social media and see so many different people who claim to know what they're talking about, and there's no real way to verify that they know what they're talking about unless you go to each individual topic, do your own research, and that kind of thing. So we're having a kind of like a shortcut to verifying that these people know what they're talking about almost by having them associate their level of aptitude with our score. And it's supposed to complement existing social media platforms rather than become its own social media platform, because that's what most Gen Z and younger voters care about when they're educating themselves on important topics related to voting.
So, okay, yeah. Just real quick. So basically, ultimately, this would be like I get a badge if I answered enough questions through your service of some sort,
Yeah.
and that would verify that I know what I'm talking about. I see.
Yep.
All right. Cool.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Dane, you're up.
Hey guys, Zane Witherspoon here, three-time founder in the consumer data space and currently in legislative tech. So I'm curious, in your best case scenario, who or how are these questions generated by? Who's making these quizzes? What sort of things do you want to quiz people on? And like, what's the reason behind that?
Yeah, of course. So as we mentioned in our slides, one thing that a lot of, say, like civics class fails to teach us, for example, how our government functions. I know a lot of times, sometimes I see social media posts and sometimes people don't understand how certain aspects of the government function. They make statements that might not have validity. So that's kind of one example of what we could do. So currently, a lot of our questions are hard-coded, but one thing we have considered is how can we expand this quiz beyond that? One thing is to take reputable sites, for example, .gov sites, even simple things like the text of the Constitution itself. These are simple things where people can often be misinformed, but there is a very clear definition of what is correct and what is known by the public. So based off of this, one thing is that we could have one possible option would be to have humans write the quizzes, or another option we were considering is to do something like generative AI and then have validation afterwards, but use that generative AI to generate questions from these documents, which would allow for larger the production of more quizzes. And in terms of difficulty, because of how our algorithm works via ELO, questions are automatically assigned different levels of points based on their difficulty. So that would handle that as well.
All right, round of applause. Emojis.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty, so next up we have, we love the emojis. Next up we have voter registration rewards. Feel free to share your screen. I'm gonna start the timer. Rock and roll, let's get ready. You have 5 minutes.
Oh, hold on here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Mark. You have 5 minutes. Let me know when you're ready.
Presenting is not available in this version of Meet. Go to the full version to share your screen. Okay, well, a second here.
There we go. We see two of you.
Sorry for the feedback. Oh, we got two people on here. Hey guys. All right. Share screen. Sorry guys. Give me 1 second. Rejoin. Rejoin.
Technical difficulties. It's all good. We're all seasoned hackathon hackers out here.
Can you guys see my screen at all?
Yes, we can.
All right, cool.
Ready.
So,
go for it.
Okay, cool. So this is voter registration essentials. Basically, I have my entire thing here. Let's see if I can pop this up here. I can make it quick. Don't worry. I had my notes on my phone, which I was going to read. All right, thank you for this opportunity. Let me get this out the way. I'm excited to present voter registration rewards. Scroll down here. Often feels like it's an accessible or low priority process with my screen, especially for underrepresented communities. Many people face barriers such as language difficulties, time constraints, and a lack of incentive to participate. Sorry. At the same time, community needs for basic household items and are often unmet. So basically, I'm going to share on the screen here. I'm going to register somebody so you guys can see it in action. Uh, 2004. Only 97. That's a good year. All right, where? Let's see my city here. Of course, we will confirm. And if you actually notice, pay attention. The date of birth is actually one day off. I have to still fix that since this is a demo. All right, and it looks like we got picked up for $12 for essential items for 2 body wash, 2 cleaning sprays, and a paper towels for Dollar General. So you'll want to either copy your reference number or scan your QR code or take a snapshot. You can share your impact, inspire others to make their voices heard, share your achievement, and help grow others' democracy. Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, Telegram. You can register another voter. And they're pretty much done. Now, what I added in here as well is I added for the back end for if they wanted to see, you can see how many people actually registered, how many people registered per minute, how many rewards are claimed. Right here, you can see how many registered here, the age distribution, the store distribution for Dollar General, Family Dollar, or Dollar Tree. If you are a cashier and you want to get the rewards, you can scan the QR code. You can scan or drop, but you'll probably scan camera. Oh, probably because my camera's on here. But we got the reference number, so we will take that reference number. We will look that up, and it looks like they got 2 body wash, a cleaning spray, and a paper towels for $12. We'll go ahead and confirm their reward, and we can go ahead and process the next one if we need to. Basically, the platform is run on any mobile device, any platform, pretty much, really. You can even have it set up in a Raspberry Pi that phones can actually connect via Wi-Fi to be more secure. If they don't want to go, if they don't have internet access, they can just access it via the Raspberry Pi. Pop this up here. Register somebody else here. Let's see. It should have been. Sorry, Grant Francis, if you are born on 1882, I'm sorry. Gotta use my other address. Yay! Ooh, I got $23. I'm gonna copy that reference number. I need to go to Dollar Tree right now. I get some toothpaste, laundry detergent, shampoo, toilet papers, and hand soap. Get the other registered user because I already took a snapshot with my phone since I have it. And we can go to the cashier. They can go ahead and claim their redemption if they want to, or they can save it because it's right now it's non-expired. That's my screen. That's pretty much it.
Excellent time. All right, judges, 3 minutes for questions. Go for it. George, you're first. Then Patty.
Mark, congratulations. I noticed somebody in the chat said your product would work effectively with the previous person that had presented. And I was thinking the same thing. I do have one question, and it's more of a practical question. Have you done a full vetting on the actual legality of incentives and inducements to register to vote, and how that stands between federal elections and the 50 state and different county elections? Curious if you have knowledge of that, or if you've looked into that or considered it.
I did not look into any of that. I just had this idea pop in my head for urban areas, and I know there's a lot of Dollar Trees, Dollar Generals. You know, we can even get, but I don't know the legalities of businesses supporting voting.
Well, just something that you might want to consider, because it is illegal federally to induce people to register to vote. And Zane, excuse me, I'm sorry. He probably would know more, since he referenced that he was working on the government side now. But anyway, congratulations. Very, very clever idea.
Patty, you're next. Patty, you're muted.
Sorry. Is there anybody that knows if that's legal or not? That was one of my questions too, but I did have a second one. If it is legal, is there a limit by any of these donors, sponsors, for how many of these they would participate in? Is there a risk that you could kind of crash the system if too many people wanted these rewards, or how does that work with the rewards codes and the vendor?
If I could actually pop in real quick here, federal guidelines, there's no conditional voting requirements. Incentives must be tied to voter registration, not actual voting.
Mm-hmm.
It's illegal to provide rewards based on whether or not someone votes. How they vote or proof of voting.
Thank you. I thought that's the way it was, but I thank you for verifying.
Yeah, and this initiative must remain nonpartisan.
So what about the rewards? Is that something that has limits to it, or how does that work?
Small non-cash rewards like pen stickers, low-cost items are generally allowed under federal law. I don't know about the essential household items, but it should align with the rules, provided the items are reasonably valued and not excessive.
I'm asking, would the stores have a limit to their participation in this, a dollar limit? How would that work?
They probably would. They would probably say, okay, well, the max would probably be, we can give per registered voter maybe $6. Then we can
so
randomize.
It'd be a limited thing.
Correct.
Somewhat. Okay. Thank you.
All right, round of applause. Thank you, Mark. All right, so now next up, let's see who we have next up. Next up, we have Vote Wave. Feel free to get yourself situated. I'm going to get the timer ready. Judges, thank you for the thoughtful questions. These are excellent.
All right. Do I need to give you a countdown, or?
Well, once your screen is shared, that's when I will start my timer, just to make sure you're set up.
Perfect.
I'm going to give you the countdown.
Cool.
Ready? 3, 2, 1. Rock and roll.
Awesome. Hey, everybody. My name is Parsa, and I'm here. My project called Vote Wave. So for this project, obviously one of the things that I kept on looking at in terms of the description of the hackathon was we're trying to incentivize youth to vote. And so I kind of broke down to 3 different categories, especially for underrepresented youth. I had to pull a little bit from my own experience as well. I immigrated to the US when I was 12 years old. I had to navigate the system for myself and also for my family. So looking at kind of like breaking this problem down into 3 different areas for myself, I said, well, first, youth, especially these days, we're talking about lower attention spans. We're competing with TikTok and Instagram here. And what that means is we need to really minimize the text that we see on the screen. So if this is our starting point, this is the page that you see, for example, for Texas, when you're going to register to vote, and nothing against Texas, love Texas. But there's a lot of text going on here. There's some motion going on up here. The color scheme is not very welcoming. As somebody that would land on this page, I would immediately not be very motivated to continue, let alone as I'm scrolling, things start to pop out at me, and it becomes a little bit scarier. So one thing that we want to really hone in on here is minimize the text, and let's communicate more visually using emojis and a little bit more drive for people to continue. So the first thing that I was trying to really display here with a simple graph is, hey, look how much of the population you're actually represented in terms of the total share, population share, and the actual voter turnout. And then again, highlighting certain key facts like 13% of population, 8% voter turnout, a very clear timeline of the events that you need to follow in terms of like voter registration. And then at the very bottom, also just 2 quick hitters of like, I am a US citizen. Oh, okay. And then there's this drive to want to continue because you're 50% of the way there. And then once you continue, it actually takes you to the next page. Now, the second thing, so the first one was low attention spans, visual learners. Second one is availability in multiple languages. So this site is actually fully available in 6 different languages. I myself speak Farsi, so I was testing this through. It was pretty good. And we want people to be, again, in your native language. It's going to be a lot more welcoming and easier to navigate as well. The goal here is great UI UX will push you and make it easier for you to get to the registration process. Lastly, we want to do ease of navigation. So what this means is we need to take people to the right place with a single click. So again, going back to the original page here, I don't know where I'm clicking. I have to sit here, read the text. And again, lower attention span doesn't lead me to that final page of me registering. So what this actually does is, if I hop into the other page, is, hey, this is for California. Let's say I say like register to vote. It takes me to this specific page that actually starts me in terms of voter registration. I don't need to sift through a bunch of government websites to get me to that last page. And also very clear highlighting of, hey, your registration for your state, I've selected California up here, can be done entirely online. Now for Texas, hey, you need to actually print and mail in your registration form. This is for first-time voter registration. The focus here is, again, youth that are just registering for the first time. So very easily to summarize. Last thing I added as well was, hey, a little help guide. So what we can actually do here is, if I go through this whole process, and I'm going to actually fill out a empty form here just to show, just for the sake of time. Once I get to the last page, it actually takes me to the voter registration page, but it also keeps the form that I just filled out open just to make it very easy to, hey, copy paste information that you just filled out here. You don't need to necessarily like go through the other pages UI, right? Even though if this was a form, for example, it would be fantastic if we could actually collect this information here as a form and then submit it to the other pages and do like a final review on the last page, on the government page, because, hey, registration does have to happen with the government anyways. But the emphasis, again, comes back to better UI, which incentivizes you to continue the actual process. It's a lot more welcoming, more warmer colors, and just kind of guides your eye to what really matters in terms of information in the process itself. I love any questions?
Excellent. Great job. Judges, you have 3 minutes for questions. Judges, feel free to raise your hand.
Can I compliment the emphasis on UX improvement? I think that's a very, I would say, not magnified topic. Sometimes the tech doesn't even need to change, and I believe your presentation really like hones in on the point that just improving simple flow designs, you know, in how they're constructing these interfaces, make a much bigger impact than any sort of even tech improvement. So great job on that.
Yeah, could not agree more. I think accessibility under that umbrella is very important, whether it's device accessibility, so having the website also available in mobile form, and this website is available in mobile form as well, it can be really, really important.
Yeah, no, awesome.
Excellent. We have Eva, and then we have Tatiana. Go for it, Eva.
Apologies if you already mentioned this, but what's the process behind updating the information? Let's say like each state updates it on this random day. How often do you refresh the information and make sure that all the requirements are up to date?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think for the purposes of this hackathon, I had to do a lot of manual sifting and manually setting up like JSON data that actually was the data that's being displayed visually. Ideally, there would be government APIs that you can hit, and I believe there are projects like that you can gather information that way via APIs, and having a cron in the background that's continuously running and retrieving that information. But for the purposes of this process, it was quite manual to go through the states myself.
Did you look into if those APIs exist and how feasible it is to implement them?
There were APIs, for example, for getting like polling poll data information. What I mean, I'm not talking about like the location of where you can go to vote and whatnot, but not necessarily the data that I needed on this page. I couldn't find them. Although I probably could have just like missed it, and it is available, but I wasn't able to find it.
Cool, thank you.
Tatiana, go for it.
Okay, so I love the UX and the flow, but I'm a little unclear on what solution you're doing. So I just would like you to clarify. So is it that you are saying come to your website because you have created a better UX and flow, and I'm walking you through the steps of a better flow of that? Or are you saying come to our website because we're helping the outdated people know where they should be improving? Because I'm not quite sure what the end solution
yeah, it would be closer to the former of what you mentioned. So not necessarily for what the outdated people should be improving. I mean, yes, the government like sites should be improving in terms of UI, but it's more around an individual of like wondering where they need to go to register to vote in terms of site, and what does that process look like. The goal of this is to simplify that. So you don't Google that and then end up on a government site with a bunch of texted information.
You offered a more simplified.
Exactly.
And then you are the solution for that. Okay, great.
Exactly. You here click one button and you're essentially at the exact form that you need to fill out. And by the way, before you even clicked, it told you, hey, you can do it all online, or you need to actually fill it out, even mail it in.
And do it half. Okay, great. Thank you.
Excellent question. All right, round of applause. Round of applause for Vote Wave. All right, now we have next up, we have Vote Ride. Vote Ride, feel free to share your screen. I am teeing up your timer.
Thank you, Justin.
All right, give it a second. Make sure it loads on my screen. Rock and roll in 3, 2, 1, action.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is Rami. Did you know that inadequate transportation was the third most cited reason for why people could not make it out to vote for the polls? And that was just behind the first two, which is not liking the candidates and not having like ideal candidates to vote for, or just having a conflict with work, which I feel like that second one can also kind of fit in with the third reason, because if you had a conflict for whatever reason, maybe it would be easier if you had access to early voting and you had the ability to get a ride. And so that's why I had the inspiration to build this. And thank you guys for hosting this hackathon and giving us all the inspiration to build what we've all built here. And so I'll walk through the demo. So this is a site. It looks like a classic like SaaS application where you're like trying to sell people things, because we do want people to come here to register to drive, because that's going to be the like solution that we're offering people, is like the ability to get a ride. And so here we kind of like also want to make people feel comfortable that we're verifying our drivers. I don't know if we'll actually run full-on background checks, but we definitely want to take the driver's license of the people that are offering rides and at least have that as the ability to like verify who is giving these people rides and whatnot. And then maybe if there's like a free service we can integrate for background checks, that would be something cool we can do in the future. But it is going to be free for the people that are registering to drive or to get a ride. And so here we can walk through the example. So this is if you're registering to be a driver. A part of the process is going to be to upload your ID. but for the easiness of this example, we're just going to skip past it. And here you can see if you're in an active ride, you can set your available seats. You can set the specific time that you're going to be picking up, and then you set up your pickup location and the polling station that you're going to actually go to. And so here, as you accept rides, the number of available seats goes down, and then that's also going to be visible to the people riding or people requesting rides. You have your profile page where you're able to like set your vehicle information for people that are getting a ride from you when you're coming in, kind of similar to the whole Uber process that we're all familiar with. So if we sign out and go back to log in as a rider, you'll see that it looks a little different because now we want to make it as easy as possible for these youth to come to the website and just like be able to get a ride. And so you're just going to enter your location, and it's actually going to find your polling location. So here you enter your address, or if you already know your polling location, you can also enter that here. And then here, this person's already been already selected a ride, and they're actually going to give a tip. But if we were to cancel this ride that we have and select, let's say, Main Street, you can see there's a couple people picking up near there. If we're going to go and say book a ride for 11, we're going to give a $10 tip. Ideally, we'll like get an integration with Stripe so that we can actually like implement the processing of the payment really easily. And so there we go. We've booked a ride going to this location for that tip. And the cool thing about this map is actually linked with Google Maps API to display the map. The actual locations here are hard coded, but ideally I was playing around and I built an actual backend where you can actually integrate with the Google Civics API, which has the civic information for all the polling data here. And so you can actually locate like where they are, which the browser here actually will ask. It already asked me earlier, but it asks you the location, so you get their location, and then you can find the nearest polling station to them, and then you can suggest the closest people that are going to be picking up and also going to that polling location. And here's the way we tried to like gamify the like giving people rides and like making people more incentivized to give more rides is like you get to the top of the volunteer list. Ideally, we can like partner with some civic centers and stuff like that to kind of provide certain kind of incentives for people to give more rides. Yeah, that's my application.
Great job.
Thank you. Oh, it also works on mobile. It's all mobile friendly. It's a web app, but it all works on mobile.
Excellent. Judges, 3 minutes for questions. Go for it. Patty, you were first. Then George, then Eva.
You're muted, Patty. Sorry.
Sorry, Patty, you're muted again.
I'm trying to be nice and I mute myself.
No
Sorry.
worries.
I'm wondering if you're going to have any kind of training or orientation for drivers so you can cover any kind of risk mitigation you need to for liability purposes. Unless you're a nonprofit, you already have these services that are available. That would be my main question.
Yeah, no, that is definitely something I thought about, especially just even the smallest thing of like, oh, a rider left like their phone or like something in the car of the person they were driving with as well, like these small details. I think we would have like an exchange of information, that sort of sense. And what you're saying, I think training like a quick like video or something to like tell people like, you know, please don't do anything crazy, and like you're signing this agreement that like you're relinquishing us of any responsibilities. We probably have something like that. I think this would also be great to give it to some of the nonprofits that exist and say this is a service that you guys can use for free, and so to become like sort of like a nonprofit ourselves, because I don't see this like we're trying to like promote democracy and promote people to be able to grow, not necessarily like build a business or anything.
I would highly encourage that if this goes into service, because volunteers are very great, but they can also be very tricky. So
right, no, for sure.
Thanks.
Of course.
All right, who was next up? I saw hands, but now you lowered your hands. I believe it was Eva and Eva then George, or George then Eva.
I'm happy. It sort of plays off the last question a little bit. And to me, the obvious thing, I don't know if you're supposed to be considering this at this point, but there is a partisan issue. And most of the people I know that sign up to give rides are very partisan one way or the other. And it's, congratulations, because it really is great for people who just want to go and vote and be quiet and get a ride there. How do you deal with it, or has that entered into sort of your imagination as you created this, and how you keep it nonpartisan, for lack of a better term? So
Yeah, I think that can definitely get included into the video of like, let's try not to talk about politics, even though you're going to vote in like the most political, like the heightened, the climax of like the whole political season. So I think it's probably inevitable that people will talk about it, and maybe that's something we can include in the UI, where it's like you say if you're a Democrat or Republican, and then that's something we do on the back end of like trying. Maybe we don't show it in the UI, but we ask. And then we try to match people of the same party just to reduce the chance for like a conflict or any kind of like back and forth arguments and stuff like that. So that's definitely a great question, because that leads to like this new discovery. Like that would be a good idea to link people of the same party that are going to vote, so that they can get along and maybe even talk and share ideas.
Excellent. Eva, last question.
It was basically the same question as Patty on how do you ensure safety. But in terms of nonpartisan conversations, I'm just dropping a link into the chat about this coalition called Listen First that is trying to bridge political divides. I don't know if that is something that's possible to, like prep or serve as additional resources. So even if you're not trying to like sway one person one way or the other, but like how do you have potentially productive conversations if you do want to talk? Yeah.
No, that's a great idea. And if this service like has some sort of like questions that you can prep people on asking the rider and the driver of like, these are some things you can talk about, maybe have like some talking points ready if you're like interested in engaging in conversation with the rider. I know in this day and age, a lot of people when they get in an Uber don't even want to have a conversation. And so if they're looking at it in that kind of sense, maybe they'll just, not say anything, but having like a sort of list of questions there would be a really good idea.
Excellent. All right, folks, a round of applause.
Thank you.
Great job. All right, and now for our final project of the day, we have Polysonic.
Hey.
Feel free to share your screen before you get started, just so that
you're good. All right.
Yep.
I'm about to start sharing now.
Yeah, I got you. I'm gonna wait for the timer to get started.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
Give me 1 second. Share window, share screen. Are you able to see my screen?
Give it 30 seconds. All right. Oh, sorry, don't need 30. You're good to go.
Cool.
Roll in 3, 2, 1, action.
Happy holidays, everybody. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm Leslie, here with my friend Uthman, and we're here to share our solution for track number 2, voter education tools. So imagine being able to transform any news article into an engaging podcast that meets young voters where they are. And that's exactly what we're building with Polysonic. And honestly, the timing of this couldn't be any more critical. According to recent Pew research, 39% of adults aged 18 to 29 regularly get their news from TikTok, up just 3% from 2020. This is a dramatic shift in how young people consume information, and presents both a challenge for us and an opportunity for democratic engagement. And the challenge we face is clear. Young Americans are more connected than ever. Traditional long-form news articles aren't really meeting them where they are, and they're turning to short-form, easily digestible content on platforms like TikTok, Instagram, etc., because that's really what fits their lifestyle. And here's what we know about them. 74% of Gen Zers are turning to social media for their primary source of election information, and more than half of these Gen Zers are closely following political influencers on these platforms. However, this shift comes at the cost of accuracy, depth, and reliability. So young voters are really sacrificing in-depth reporting and investigative journalism for this short-form information.
So let's talk a little bit about our solution. So the goal of Polysonic is to bridge the gap utilizing AI, transforming long news articles into brief, comprehensive audio summaries that match young voters' preferred consumption habits. We're not just making news more accessible, we're also making civic engagement more achievable for the next generation of voters. So let's see how it works in real time. So I'm gonna minimize the screen. Sorry. And then, so over here to the right, we have the Polysonic application. So we take news articles from any major news publication. So let's do it in real time here. So I'm going to choose this article, and then you take it from CNN and you paste the article here, and then you hit go. So while this is loading, let's talk a little bit about the home screen. So the idea is that, users and individuals can segment the news based off of local, state, and national news, and really get the news that's most important to them, that our AI utilizes to transform into, these audio podcasts. So it looks like it's done. So let's break it down in order. So first off, the most important thing that I wanted to outline is our audio transcript here. So Polysonic takes the article, takes the content, it reads it, and then it turns the article into something a bit more digestible. So we went from a 6-minute read to a 1.5-minute article.
Uh-oh. Can you hear it?
We cannot hear it.
Oh, you couldn't hear it? Oh, sorry. That was the audio playing. I'll continue, but I'll try again. And then in the next section, we have our article bias. So pretty much utilizing the content of the article, we're able to determine a bias and give a bit of an explanation as to why. And going further down, based off the content of the article as well, we utilize our AI to generate a quiz to ensure that our young voters are comprehending the article that they're listening to. And then most importantly, we have a set of critical questions that we provide the young voters, that way that as they're listening to the podcast and they're just not leaving the information on our application, they're able to take it with them in their everyday life. And the cool thing about it is it's generated specifically for any article that you pull into it. And then, as Leslie mentioned earlier, misinformation is a very major thing. So we provided a set of community notes at the bottom that our young voters can utilize to ensure that our information, though like AI plays a big part, we're always making sure that we're providing the most up-to-date and true information.
Cool. And before I continue, we have a couple more slides, but I think more importantly, we should show the audio didn't work, Manny. So it played, and I'm surprised it's not working because every time we tested it working, you couldn't hear anything. So I don't know if it's a speaker issue or something, but.
You got 20 seconds if you want to load it on something else.
Okay. Yeah, we still can't hear the audio. Can you hear it in your house, Manny?
Yeah, I can hear it.
Is it playing from your computer?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't hear anything.
Turn the volume way up.
Yeah, the volume is at its max. Is there a way for me to? Yeah, it might just be the way Google Meet is sharing.
Okay.
Do you want to go into the last couple slides?
Go for it.
Well, I think, yeah, we can go to the next slide. We just wanted to quickly highlight our theory of change, which is that one, we're focusing on meeting young voters on where they are by matching their preferred content consumption style, and that we're also breaking down barriers to understanding complex political information, which is our second theory of change, which is digestible, and third and finally, building trust through transparency and community fact checking.
Thank you.
Excellent. Great job. Judges, you got 3 minutes for questions. We have first Jeff Harris, and then we have Eva.
And I'm not on mute. Hi, great job, guys. I really like this concept. I noticed, and I really like the quiz feature and the questions, complex questions afterwards. After someone listens to the podcast, the audio, what is there to incentivize them to actually take the quiz?
Yeah, we actually thought about a few like incentivization mechanisms we could add. One of them being potentially granting them a free token to generate a new article. Obviously, it costs to generate these podcasts, and the quiz could be used as a potential feedback loop to give them a new free article if they get all the quiz questions right. We might have to bump up the difficulty of the questions to make sure that they're truly listening to them. But I think it could be an interesting way to get them engaged, retain the information, and also invite others to do the same for free podcasts.
Excellent. We got Eva, then we got Patty.
Okay, so I'm asking this question as someone who's been like actively following along in the media trends and democracy space. As you already highlighted, like younger voters have less attention span, and as a result, only consume bite-sized information or summaries like this. The issue here is that the more nuanced takes on a lot of issues like this don't get conveyed. And although I like the follow-up in-depth discussion questions, I wonder if you've thought about what it might look like to integrate into the summary, not just a summary of the article, but also potentially what they're missing out on by getting a summary and not actually getting into the depth and nuances of different issues that are talked about. So it's kind of like surfacing blind spots that they otherwise wouldn't have had if they continue to just do bite-sized content pieces.
I can answer part of this, and I know Leslie can get into it a bit more. So I think that one of the things that we were thinking about too, because that's an amazing question, is also being able to link back to the original source article. That way that individuals can start here or get their critical thinking here, and then if it is something that intrigues them, they can dive a bit deeper. Or right now, currently we have the community notes, but we can definitely as we have more listeners on the platform, we can definitely link to our other articles or other pieces of information to supplement the audio podcast. And then even another thing too as well is just this is just a minute 30 podcast. We can create longer form podcast segments as well to provide more nuance. But this is just for the sake of the demo. Les, if you had anything else to.
That was great.
Excellent. Great job, y'all. Round of applause. Oh, no, sorry. We have one more question. Patty, sorry about that.
Yes. I just wondered, how often is the content updated, and do you integrate the community chat portion of the data that gets put up there into which sources you're linking and you're summarizing?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the content really is as dynamic as today's news, right? Because for our application, you can pull news links from any major publication. So whether it's Fox, whether it's CNN, BBC, wherever you get your news from, and then as you input the link, our pipeline utilizes Gen AI to create our transcript, create our bias, create our questions and our critical thinking questions. But with the community notes, we can provide certain tags on the links. So based off of the article, if it's like a climate related article or agriculture related article, we can create tags based off of that. And then based off of the link, and then utilize our, within our database, we link community notes to respective tags or to that specific article. So even if the article may change on the following day, if it's agricultural related or if it's related to something that we've already seen before in our platform, then the idea is that we'd be able to showcase the same community notes throughout.
Thank you.
All right, excellent. Now a round of applause. Another one. Great job, y'all. Well, this concludes our projects for today's demo day. For the judges who were not able to attend or judges that had to sign off, we still have judging that will be available for you. This is a recording that you will have access to. So please get your scores in. And without further ado, let me share my screen and send everybody off with a big thank you. We are very excited that we were able to produce such an incredible hackathon. We believe that voter engagement is something that is top of mind and it should be something that we consider year round, not when we have, very, insane elections coming up for all sorts, city, state, federal. And I'm particularly excited about all the different inventions that were made at this hackathon. Hopefully we as Hacker Fund could be a resource for all the folks should you decide to turn these into projects that become organizations and that help our community. So thank you, everybody. Round of applause once more. Thank you to all of our judges. Thank you to our sponsors, partners, the hackers. And we will find out who the winners are. It'll be announced on DevPost at 5 p.m. on December 27th. So if you don't hear from us in the meantime, happy holidays, happy hacking. Thank you so much. If you have any other questions, you can always reach out to gtvo@hacker.fund. If you have any questions for the judges afterwards, or if you want potential mentorship, there are opportunities to get access to that. So please reach out. The Hacker Cat is here for you.
Thank you,
everybody.
hackers.
Thank you so much for organizing this.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
See
Thank you,
soon.
everyone.
Good luck, everybody. See you soon.